Our guest is Representative Gabe Amo. He is with the Foreign Affairs Committee. He serves as the vice-ranking member, also a member of the Budget Committee. Representative Amo, welcome to Washington Journal.
It's great to be on with you.
There's a discussion going on whether to keep on a continuing resolution until later on this year. Where are you on that?
Look, where I am is I'm looking at Republicans to exhibit some leadership here. They claim a really big mandate, which is false. But they are in the majority in the House, in the majority in the Senate, and they have the White House. So they should be able to demonstrate to the American people that they have a capacity to lead, and the consequences of their inability to lead fall on them and them alone.
Will Democrats support it at all?
Look, I think that, as you've heard and has been widely reported, they've walked away from the negotiation table. So frankly, again, they have the burden of leading, and frankly, time is ticking, and they need to demonstrate leadership to avert challenges for the American people.
When you say they walk away from the negotiation table, can you elaborate on
that?
No,
I think it's been widely reported that they have sort of shut Democrats out of this process. I think this morning I read that the president is pleading with members of the Freedom Caucus to support their plan for a continuing resolution. So they should proceed. See what happens. But if they want to be partners in governance, they have to behave differently. It seems like they want to do this alone, so it's on them.
If Democrats were to support it, what would Democrats seek in order to get that support?
Well, I think negotiations don't happen in public, so I think that has yet to be determined. Again, the burden is on Republicans. They know that they've got the numbers to pass if they can get everybody in unanimity or around passing a continuing resolution. So let's see if they can do that.
As far as the actual budget process, why do you think that the inability to actually pass a formal budget didn't take place?
Well, look, you saw in December we had the opportunity to proceed to have a full fiscal year budget, but instead my colleagues on the other side of the aisle responded to ex-post tweets, or whatever they're called now, by Elon Musk and then the president-elect, and decided to follow that vision instead of the vision and will of their constituents, which is to have an effective government that is making sure that things run. So look, again, burden is on them. When you walk away, when you decide to follow the Musk-Trump agenda, this is the consequence for the American people.
Our guest is with us, and if you want to ask questions of him in the 25 minutes or so he has with us, 202-748-8000 for Democrats, Republicans 202-748-8001, and Independents 202-748-8002. Text us at 202-748-8003. Today the House is going to consider a censure move against Representative Al Green. What do you think of that move?
Well, look, I think this is, again, a distraction. Because if you look at the chamber and the hoot and the holler that was coming from the Republican side, the lack of decorum in the MAGA hat that one of my colleagues on the other side was wearing, that's an inconsistent application. Now, what I will say is, let us not focus on the act of censure and the performance of moving someone out, but what Mr. Green was saying. You know, he was sharing that he didn't think the president had a mandate to cut Medicaid. And let's be clear, the Republican House budget resolution, I sit on the budget committee, I sat there in a markup for 12 plus hours, and over again, to a person, no Republican deviated, they decided to push forward a plan to cut at least, remember, it's at least $880 billion in Medicaid, hurting many Americans, hurting, in my district, 22.6% of people who receive Medicaid coverage. So we can be distracted by the performance of a censure and the folks who all of a sudden have decided to be high and mighty about the activities in the chamber. That's one thing, but I'm not going to stray away from policy, because that is actually what we're sent to work on. Not the policing of the free speech of colleagues.
Going back to Tuesday, one of the constant criticisms since then of Republicans for Democrats was they consistently sat during the whole thing, even when young people were recognized or heroes were recognized. What do you think of that criticism?
I ask my Republican colleagues when they're going to stand up for the people that they're cutting Medicaid from. When are they going to stand up for the people that they're going to cut SNAP benefits from? Look, performance in a speech is one thing, and I was sympathetic to so many of the Americans who were reflected in those that were recognized in the chamber. But let's be very clear, that is one speech. Speech is different from the legislative action that is required from my colleagues to ensure that people don't suffer in this country. And they are plotting ahead with great intention and a great ferocity to cut Medicaid, to cut SNAP, to hurt those in nursing homes, to hurt those in long-term care, to cut those with disabilities. So again, let's not be distracted. Let's focus on the substance.
If you were sympathetic, why not stand up at least to express that sympathy?
I was sitting there clapping. You can pan the room. I was clapping. Standing itself does not denote a specific acknowledgement. Again, this is performance and distraction. Let's worry about the core. They did not hear from the President of the United States. Our President, Donald Trump, did not speak to how he was lowering costs for the American people. Instead, he spoke to the fact that he said, well, there might just be a little disturbance for the pocketbooks and the bank accounts of the American people while he pursues a reckless tariff agenda that is raising prices on Americans now.
Representative Gabe of Rhode Island joining us for this discussion. Our first call for you comes from